So let me introduce our main speaker here. Our guest speaker will be a Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate, Mr. John James. Mr. James, he will be running against Senator Debbie Stabenow, the current long-term Democratic U.S. Senator for Michigan. Mr. James, we're neutral here, remember? Mr. James is a graduate from West Point, has a master's degree from Penn State University and University of Michigan. He is a U.S. Army Iraqi war veteran. He flew Apache helicopters, right? So of course, like all of us, we're very proud of your service, sir. Thank you very much. He's also a businessman. He's a family man, has 2 children, I believe, correct? Yes. And we're all looking forward to hearing how he's going to help Michigan when he defeats Miss Stabenow. Okay? So I'd like to welcome Mr. James, please.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Whoa. I have a face for radio, so please excuse the picture. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I really appreciate you making time for me today. It's pretty exciting to be up here in Lapeer, and I'm sure there are other veterans in the audience. If you're a veteran, raise your hand. Well, thank you for your service as well. We all stand on the backs and on the shoulders of generations that came before us. And our forefathers and our founding fathers, I believe, would be very disappointed in where our country is today. One of the biggest reasons why I'm running is because I have a passion for service. As you heard a little bit earlier, I was in the Army. I enlisted for a year as a student at the United States Military Academy Preparatory School, and I worked my way into West Point. I graduated from West Point in 2004, and I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. I became a Ranger qualified Apache pilot, and I flew over 750 hours combat in Operation Iraqi Freedom. While I was over fighting for Iraqi freedom, I looked back and I saw that there were some places in Michigan that were worse served and looked worse than some places that were fighting in a combat zone. There were not enough people fighting for Michiganders while I was overseas fighting for Iraqi freedom. So I resolved to come back. I resolved to do what I could do because I wanted to serve. Right? This is why I left my blessings. This is why I left my stability. This is why I left my country to go serve in the military. So I came back to serve in my community. I did what I could. In the time of the Great Recession, I wanted to go back and help create jobs. That's what people needed, economic opportunity. Right? And so I went to go join my family's business. It's an automotive services company called James Group International. It's in Detroit, and we do automotive services, warehousing, distribution, manufacturing and assembly, and also information systems. And I was able to help grow the company from $35 million to $137 million, and we're able to grow 100 jobs in Michigan and east of the Mississippi. Part of the reason why we're feeling this traction is because people realize that we need a conservative outsider in Washington to protect our Constitution and what made this nation great. I believe we need a combat veteran on the floor of the U.S. Senate who understands how to keep Americans safe because he's done it before. And I believe that we need a business leader who understands. Our government is trying to run industries, and they can't even balance the budget, can't even run a business. We, the people, have not delegated certain authorities to the federal government. We, the people, have our rights trampled on a daily basis. I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States of the United States of America to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and democratic. I'm sorry. Foreign and domestic. Government overreach. And what I really, the Democratic marketing machine is winning in this country because we're not staying vigilant. because we are not getting out there. We don't have enough defenders of the free on the Senate floor. Debbie Stabenow is more interested in retaining her position than advocating for the people. I can't abide by that. I want to go to Washington, and I want to fight for what is so important. For me, my core values: faith and family, God and country, service before self. And I didn't get these in the Army. I got this from my mama. Right? It's about being raised right. I was raised in the church, and I understand the difference between right and wrong. See, right now what we're fighting these days is what I'm still trying to get my arms around this, but what I believe is currently being taught is you have our core values, right, of what we hold dear. Everything from chivalry to faith and family, and then you have pop values, the coastal values. And I kind of feel like there's a shifting where not only are those who have popular values devaluing our core values, our American values, but they're debasing them. They're not only condescending to it, but they call us deplorable. And it's almost in vogue, it's almost fashionable to make fun of people who love this flag, love this country, and willing to fight for it. And so, as Ronald Reagan said, and I love the quote, and I'm going to butcher it now, but I cannot stand silent. I cannot abide by the direction this country is going in. I have two little boys who I have to look at in the eyes, and I have to justify why their daddy had the tools, the energy, and the opportunity, and didn't do anything. I will tell you, the biggest reason why I'm running is because I feel called to do this. I got on my knees back in April, and I asked the Lord to give me wisdom, and not that He make this path easy, but that He make it clear. And I've been walking through every open door that He's given me. And I just thank the Lord for the blessings and the wisdom that He's given me. And I very much appreciate your support on this endeavor to represent all Michiganders, to defend the rights of Americans. Because God gave us these rights, inalienable rights, and the government is just there to guarantee it, not the other way around. Thank you.
We're going to pass this around, if it's all right with you, and have some questions to answer. Okay, hold on.
First of all, congratulations on Paul Mitchell today. I heard you on the radio, so WJR, so he endorsed you. Congratulations on that.
Say a little louder. I forgot about that.
Paul Mitchell endorsed Mr. James today. And he was on the Frank Beckman show. It was great. It was great to hear that. As you can tell from my hat, I'm concerned about my fellow veterans. When you go to the vet hospitals and you see these guys in wheelchairs and their state of mind, I mean, it's you've seen it, and you know you've seen it, and you've been there, and you've seen what happens to these people during wartime, and I'm really concerned about them. That they get the best care in the world. I'd be willing to spend all my taxes just to help those guys because they gave us this country that we live in and allow you to speak and allow me to speak. And I hope that you will get on some kind of a committee when you get elected and to be on the Veterans Affairs of some sort, because you have that background. I just hope you will do that. So that's my comment, and so I'll give it to the next person here.
Thank you. And I will say that I will go where the Lord leads me. And there is a lot that needs to be done, and our president has gone a long way with the Veterans Affairs Accountability and Regulatory Act. He's done more than many of his predecessors. To take a look at the cronyism and inefficiency that's killing our veterans. We're losing veterans at the clip of 22 per day. That's criminal. And so it is not necessary, it's not just at the Veterans Affairs Administration, but tearing down these unelected bureaucrats in Washington that are holding their positions and not doing their jobs. I think that is not just allocating more of those resources. And you have a heart for service. Someone who would say, I would give all that I have to protect those who are protecting me. I appreciate that, sir, and many of us do here as well. But there's a lot more that needs to be done, and I'm not going to stay here and say I have all the answers. I don't. That's why I'm here, and so I can listen and learn before I try to leave. But you're absolutely right. That will be among my top 3 priorities, to look out for my brothers and sisters in arms.
Thank you. Mr. James, you hold the mic when you're talking. We're streaming this and that.
Oh, okay. Hey. I'm pretty shy. You guys have to excuse me.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a very divisive topic. Obviously, you're black, and most of us
Wait,
are
what?
white. We've got a country that has been separated by the politicians in this country. I can remember during the '67 riots, they had a little black girl come up and say, I don't want to learn. She said, I don't want to be like Whitey. I listened, Oprah was going to spend a fortune in this country on educating black people. She said they didn't want to learn. What can you do to help change the black community to end this divisiveness? You know, and it's something that it seems like white people have no say to the black community. Because the first thing that the Democrats will say, you don't understand. Or people like Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. You're not black, you don't understand. You're a black person. What can you do to help end this divisiveness in our country?
Well, thank you for that question. And actually, there's 2 questions there. One, what am I going to do to improve the education situation? Is my answer is the federal government should not be in our schools on the state and local level. So putting the power back into the hands of parents and to good teachers who want to serve and help and educate our children. And then empower the state and local governments to figure out how to do that best themselves. So that's answer 1 to your question. And 2, how do I fix everything with racial divides in this country? I pull my magic wand out of my back pocket, I wave it around, and everything will be okay. A good start is, again, remaining vigilant. A good start is running a young black man in the Republican Party, a conservative outsider before he became a candidate. A good start is bringing somebody to the fight who will confound anybody who will come and call us racist because we call a spade a spade. I believe that it requires people understanding that the Democrats, from where I can see, from what I can see, wherever Democrats go, poverty follows. From what I can see. What'd you say?
I said.
Oh, you said?
Entitlement.
Entitlement. So in order to maintain their power, in order to maintain their control, from what I can see, Democrats are peddling a brand of dependency, peddling a brand of victimhood, rather than telling them the good news and the good news. That our God and our Constitution have guaranteed us freedom. People have died for freedom, black and white. And what I believe we need is someone to bring the good news. I can think of, there was somebody who came with good news a long time before this thing, but I can't think of, okay. So I'm not the answer. I'm not. But I believe my candidacy is a start. And I believe it's going to get vicious. I believe it's going to get vicious because this candidacy is a threat. They talk about unity, they talk about diversity until we start talking about diversity of thought. Until we start saying, no, First Amendment applies, and so you must let my child talk about creation on his paper in high school and in college. You must not infringe upon a teacher's right to teach objectively and infringe upon his career because of his free speech, right? And so there are places in this country, where pastors are being compelled to take their sermons to the local government because it's being called hate speech. They're coming right out your book. Capital B, book. And so I believe, to answer your question, one, the federal government has no place in our education system at the state and local level. And two, I am not the solution to racial harmony, but I believe that we all are the solution to racial harmony. I believe running a candidate who's a unifying figure, running somebody who stays woke, running somebody who understands from a battlefield to the boardroom that you have to bring everybody together, that we are one race, the human race, and get results in Washington without excuses.
More questions?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I came because I heard Kid Rock was going to be here. I'm not sure how that is.
So did I.
Well, let's see if we can get an autograph. Some of the people in here know I've been active in different Tea Parties and through the local Republicans and things like that. And what I'd really like to ask you is a question. First of all, you impressed me with some of your values, your beliefs. I have a son who recently retired from the Army, 20 years service, 2 Bronze Stars. Appreciate your service and appreciate your core values.
Thank you.
The question I would have, having dabbled in Republican politics for some time, is who are the other candidates? Where do you stand with the Republican Party? What about the establishment? What is their view of you? What's your strategy to ultimately get that Republican nomination?
Thank you. There's only one other Republican candidate right now, and he's former Justice Bob Young. What does the establishment think? The establishment, and I would just say all Republicans, are sick and tired of the Democrats' stronghold on this state. I believe everybody I talk to, wouldn't it be nice to have a Republican senator again? Wouldn't it be nice? And so it's not even a nice thing. I believe one of my old commanders taught me to prioritize.
Need, nice, and neat. It wouldn't only be nice, but when you consider that Republicans have, or at least for the next year or so, we have the legislature, we have the governor, and in Washington, we have the House, we have the Senate, we finally have a textualist Supreme Court judge, and we have a Republican president. Michigan is actually a red state. You heard me. Michigan is a red state who is now running a candidate, a Republican candidate, who can win in Southeast. I just got Paul Mitchell's endorsement today. Macomb is essential to Southeast and to Michigan. I'm from Wayne County. I created jobs in Wayne County, and I live in Oakland. The Democrat stronghold in Southeast is threatened by my candidacy. And so, regardless of establishment or otherwise, there's real excitement behind somebody who not only looks good on paper, but can quantitatively have the votes to win. My values resonate outstate, and we're landowners in the Upper Peninsula. When you talk about a combat vet, business owner, conservative outsider, faith in family, God and country, and service before self, those are things that reach across both sides. Those are things that can resonate with the base without alienating traditional Republicans. That's something that you can get fair-minded moderates and independents. And that's something, and that's something that, that will be able to pull. Is a message that will resonate in areas that Democrats have typically neglected. So The last part is money. We need money to get the message out there. Campaigns are fueled by money, just like our might around the world has been fueled by our economy. And so I would appreciate your support. And if you would tonight, go to johnjamesforsenate.com. johnjamesforsenate.com. Take a look. I'm posting 100 videos in 100 days. I think we're about 48 videos deep now, and 46, 47, 48 videos deep now. And you can learn as much as you can about me. Give me comments. Follow me on social media. And, again, have the opportunity to donate. Thank you.
Oh, actually, that gentleman kind of asked me questions. Thank
you. Thank you for being here this evening. This is the first time I've ever heard you speak, and it's very impressive. You have the problem, I think, with much of the Republican Party is they don't know how to communicate, and we need to become effective communicators if we're going to make any headway. Two things. One is a concern, and you're right, we should be calling the shots. And we have people that, and some of which have run since, they've gotten elected since 2010, that rolled in on the wave, and where we can't defeat Obamacare, we can't get so much done. It's not, Debbie Stabenow, to her credit, she has the same set of values that she's always had, and that she ran on. I hope and I believe that you are the kind of person that will hold to your values once elected. But above that, the thing that concerns me, and I'd like just like your thoughts on it, the current state of what we're in. We had Representative Scalise, who was openly they tried to take him out. We had Senator Paul, who was assaulted, 5 broken ribs. More disturbing by far is yesterday morning, 28 people in church went to church. Can I just, the state that we're in, we used to have Ronald Reagan when he was president, he used to, politically he had huge disagreements with a lot of things, but he and Tip O'Neill, they could carry on a conversation, they were personal friends. Somehow we've lost the ability to communicate and to agree to disagree. And I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts? What can you bring that maybe to help facilitate maybe some change for kind of easing the pressure cooker that we're under? I mean, it's just it's a very scary world now. I've got 2 kids that are just one's out of college and one's finishing college, and I really lose sleep at night. So I'm just interested in your thoughts.
There are some who will go out there and say they're going to change Washington. I remember hearing a speech when I was a young boy. I remember the guy Al Gore. I remember hearing over and over and over, "It's time for a change. It's time for them to go. It's time for a change. It's time for them to go." And if you're thinking back to the time where Al Gore would have been the challenger, that was a long, long time ago. So people have been talking about change in Washington for a long, long time. And I feel that the only change that we have is a Washington that's becoming increasingly more distant from the rest of us. And so I'm not going to focus on Washington. I'm going to focus on Michigan. I'm going to do my job. My job is to represent Michigan well, to represent it strongly. And I believe the first step is kind of a Reagan-Tip O'Neill deal. Sit across the table from Gary Peters and say, "Gary, we're teammates now. I'm going to assume, despite some of the misguided policies of the party, I'm going to assume that you love Michigan too. And we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about how we can bring positive, sustainable change back to the people and the businesses in the state of Michigan. And then I think we should approach our congressmen and women and assume that they love Michigan too. Because we used to do that. We used to give people the benefit of the doubt. Remember that? Remember that? Remember, my mom always raised me. When somebody would say something ugly to me, she'd say, John, don't worry about it. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You get to decide what you're going to do now. And so I was raised in an era where everyone was entitled to their own opinion, but not their own facts. Now these kids are being raised in an era where everyone's entitled to their own facts, but not their own opinion. I can't fix that yet, but what I can do is get everybody from our congressional delegation, both left and right, get them down at the table. And now when you have a Republican and a Democrat senator, now there's accountability. Because there's the other 50%, that silent majority that got Donald Trump in office, that is now we're going to come with the weight of the rest of the state and say we will not accept this anymore. And so we put them together and we say, what can we do to help facilitate the success of the state of Michigan? And then we go back to the duly elected governor and the legislature and say, we are willing to present a unified front to promote business and to grow the middle class and to serve everyone. Now, again, I'm not going to go to Washington and disrupt everything because there's plenty of chaos in Washington to go around. What I do as a former combat aviator, Army officer, is I bring order to chaos. That's my core competency. And I believe that I can bring my business skills and my Army skills to take it into a situation and either out-negotiate, outwork, or outlive some of these cronies of Washington who've been there for 50, 60 years.
You mentioned our president, Donald Trump. I'd like to hear from you whether or not you support his efforts to build a wall, whether you support extreme vetting, any other ideas you might have about the terrorists that are in our country. And also I'd like your opinion on Donald Trump in general, because we have a lot of Republicans that are not in favor of Donald Trump, and I think people can have a different opinion, but some of the name-calling I think is disrespectful to our president. So I'd just like to hear your opinion.
Sure. Couple questions. Let me just be clear. I support our president's agenda 100%. 2, among the people in this race, declared or undeclared, I'm the only one with real legitimate experience securing a border. I understand what it takes to keep Americans safe because I've done it before. So I understand we need to use all means at our disposal and all means available to keep Americans safe. That's pretty cut and dry. That is the president's #1 job, is to take care of Americans, to keep Americans safe. And that's exactly what our president is. This man is not afraid to put America first. And we live in a world where people are expecting the American president to not put Americans first. And so I respect a man who's willing to stand by his convictions, to keep Americans safe, and put America first. I support our president putting contextualist judges like Neil Gorsuch on, who will protect our Constitution and will protect life, who will protect our Second Amendment rights, and will understand that the government overreach is unconstitutional. I support our president surrounding himself with military leaders like Mattis, McMaster, and Kelly. And now the people of the state of Michigan have an opportunity to put another combat vet in Washington. Our president needs reinforcements. He's under attack. And in order to make sure that we continue our progress of getting things done, deregulating, pulling back some of these regulations that are hurting everyday American businesses and people, he needs reinforcements. We need more people like Paul Mitchell. And we need people who understand how to get results in Washington. Thank you. So that's one. Anyone else? All right. Hey, you know what? This is a very special day. There's a reason I'm here in Lapeer. You know what today's date is? Today's date? The 7th of what? And what happens in 1 year? It's Debbie's last day on the job. but I can't do it without you. So please go to johnjamesforsenate.com. Let me hear you. Give me your comments. And again, I really, really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Time for one more question.
Okay.
One more?
Go ahead. You want to ask me or you want to ask John?
Mr. James, please. Sure. Thank you for your service, by the way.
I think this is what they call in the business an encore.
Yes, yes. I'm concerned about a lot of issues. Primarily, it comes down to me, the Second Amendment, because that's whether I'm a free man or not. Rather than just asking you about the Second Amendment, I'd like to know, do you own any firearms?
Not only do I own 3 firearms, my wife owns 2, and I'm an NRA member.
Thank you.
Listen, Mr. James is passing around a slip to, if you'd like to endorse him, please go ahead and fill it out or sign it. Thank you. Thank you very much. You mind hanging out for some more questions when we get through here? You're going to be tied up.
Well, Ali has my phone, and on my phone is the contact of my wife, so if he's not getting blown up, I have mine.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to continue then. Go ahead.
And it's the first time that I really felt some hope.
Checks and mail.
Is that it? Oh, go ahead.
Go blue.
Look in that shirt. Looks like you've had good opportunities to do arm wrestling before. Where you can actually twist arms.
No, this is actually my my 4-year-old son's shirt. It's extra medium. No, this is it's the best I can do. Look, I'm not a fashion model. I'm just an Army captain who got out and wanted to do some good. And this is an old, comfortable shirt, and I figured I was among friends tonight. So hopefully it's okay.
Thank you. I got a comment. I need a hug too. I had Debbie Stabenow in my house 30 years ago trying to run for this office. She made me so upset. I booted her out. But man, do it. We are doing it.
Well, hey, look, I serve
At the will of the people. And we, the people, decide who we will have leading us. Now, we, the people of the state of Michigan, we, the people, have decided on our elected leaders. Now, we, the people, have the chance to change that. So I appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Let's see. Bill, go up one, please. Thank you. Okay, and thank you for hanging out for a while. We appreciate it.